Hey folks, this guide will show you how to use Fuki. Let's talk about the stats on the Soul Core, beginning with the special effects. The first being range damage, and the second being a dash key consumption reduction. At a max rank of 30, the range damage scales up to 5.4%, while the dash key consumption scales up by 5.8%. The yokai ability itself is referred to as Wind Blast. Transform into a Fuki and fire a blast of wind towards enemies in front of you. Despite the image of the Soul Core is of a Fuki holding a Kusarigama, you actually pull out and fire a wind hand cannon. The anima cost for this is on the moderate side at 6, while the attunement cost is also on the moderate end at 6. Despite this mentioning a wind blast, wind is not a recognized element in Nioh 2, and therefore this benefits from Shirohami's poison and Itokiri's paralysis. However, the imbuement is incredibly low, and at best can be used if needed for that last little bit to trigger the ailment infliction. Let's talk about the ability itself. The attack animation is very quick, one of the quickest, but there is a slight response delay. On top of that, it can turn you around to ensure that you face and hit your target. The tracking is quite exquisite. The key damage on this is very powerful, almost as much as Tataramoki, with a much faster casting animation. I usually use this to put yokai in the winded state after their key is broken. Additionally, landing a headshot on humans will deal almost Shadow Art Feathers on key broken enemies amounts of damage. However, this is not consistent between regular humans and boss human enemies. The best way I have found to trigger the headshot is immediately after a heavy knockback. When you are using Fuki, you are entirely immune to all grabs. The Winds of Ruin mission in the Afterglow region is a human boss enemy gauntlet that can be effectively trivialized when executing the headshot on a lot of them. I set this up by placing down a paralysis ground fire trap and then getting the heavy knockback into the Fuki strike. However, Hanzo seemed to be the only one that was immune to this. As I mentioned, it is not consistent against all boss enemies and humans. You may be wondering why I'm talking about a soul core. That is because one, these are one of the few that Pooferllama never covered, and two, the Fuki is one of the four demons, which are said to be the precursors of the ninja we know today. So it's still on brand.